Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. I really appreciate the time you've taken away from your busy days. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Elizabeth and I'm from Seagull Travel and Tours. I've been to Tanzania countless times. I really don't know how many times I've been there, and it's a place that's really, really close to my heart. And so, for that reason, I'm really looking forward to sharing with you today what we'll be doing in Tanzania in 2026. So, give me a moment and I will start sharing my screen with you, and then we can talk about a little bit of yeah, talk through the presentation. Okay. So, yeah, the first things first, there are three different dates for this specific safari, from the 2nd to the 12th of May, 16 to 26, and then 23 May to June. These are our set departures, but if you want to do your own thing, we can also do tailor-made travel plans for you. And in fact, we do that for many, many clients. Right. The second important thing to say is that today really is just a conversation that I want to have with you to make sure that you understand what a Tanzania or Serengeti safari is all about, to understand, what ours offers, and to make sure that when whatever you decide to do, that it's the right thing for you and that it's a good fit for you, that you choose the right safari for you. So, yeah, that's just important. With that in mind, I also want to or welcome any questions. I think the best thing we can do is at the end, I'll make time for questions. So just make a note of any questions that you might have. And at the end of the webinar, I will allow some time for questions. Okay. So, for those of you who don't know about the migration, it's important that we just start off with a quick discussion on that, because I think this will also influence the decision that you make on the safari you choose. Okay. So, first things, the migration is a circular route. You'll see the white arrows on the screen. And as I said, the migration is a circular route, and this happens year in and year out, and it kind of follows the same pattern. Of course, as our weather patterns change with global warming, so the migration patterns do shift because the migration is something that occurs because the gnu, the wildebeest, and the zebras and some other animals are traveling in search of food and water. So, for instance, if it's not raining in the area that they are in and it's raining somewhere else, you will see them traveling to the area where it's raining. Um, okay, so um, yeah, the point that I'm trying to make is that the migration is a circular route. It's year in and year out. Yes, it follows a pattern. And yes, based on what's happened in the years before, we can more or less guess where they will be in the greater Serengeti area, but we cannot pinpoint it day by day. So we follow the weather patterns. If we see that it's raining somewhere, we know that there's a very big chance for the animals to be where it's rained. Okay. And within certain areas, you will see them moving up and down until the food's really finished, and then they'll make a big move again. And then they'll graze there for a while until the food is really finished, moving up and down between smaller regions. When the food's gone, they move up north again. Okay. And why this is important for you to know is because that is what the migration is all about. Okay. When you're thinking about the river crossings, those images that you see on National Geographic of the wildebeest and the zebra jumping through the rivers, that is definitely a part of the Great Migration, but it does not define the migration. It is simply something that happens in a couple of months of the year during this trek. And they don't cross the river, contrary to popular belief, to cross from Tanzania to Kenya or from Kenya to Tanzania. They really only cross the water to get to grazing and water. Okay. So if you specifically want to see a crossing, it's important that you only go to the Serengeti or the Masai Mara later in the year, not in May. These tours that I'm going to be talking about now do not cover the crossing. Okay. They are about the animals on the wide open plains, and then suddenly you see millions of animals all herded together, and it is a fantastic sight. um, we normally stop and then we just all become quiet and we can literally hear the animals going, hmm, hmm, hmm. And it is just an incredible experience. Nothing can take away from it, but it is not a crossing and you should be aware of this. Whatever you choose, make sure that you are in the right area of the Serengeti in the right month. So, for instance, if you want to see the carving, you'll see it's noted on the map. It's in the southern part in an area we call Ndutu that normally happens in February, depending on when the rain starts. Okay. So if you want to see the carving, you have to be in the southern part in February to have a chance of seeing it. If you want to see a crossing, you have to be north in August, September to see a crossing. In May, we stay in largely central Serengeti because this gives us the opportunity to go in different directions. Okay. So again, it's important that you not only choose an itinerary based on cost and the lodges that you're going to be staying in, but you also choose it based on whether the time of the year is matched to the actual location of where you'll be staying. Okay. So with that in mind, let's move on to our Seagull Pole Pole tour. I'd like to just quickly explain why we've got a Pole Pole safari and what I believe makes it different and in my opinion makes it a really nice tour. So Pole Pole in Kiswahili means slowly, slowly. So there's actually a saying in Kiswahili, haraka haraka haina baraka, pole pole ndio mwendo, which means haraka haraka means go fast, or hurry hurry. So what they say in Kiswahili is, if you rush too fast, you will not get blessings. You need to slow down. And so this is the reasoning behind the Pole Pole tour, slowly, slowly, is that we're just trying to create a little bit of breathing space on the tour, a little bit of extra days so that it doesn't just feel like one big rush. Okay. Now, unfortunately, there might be days where we'll have to travel far to see the migration because remember, we have no control. The weather decides where the animals will be going. So some days we might have to drive quite far, and we do allow full day safaris. But the concept behind Pole Pole is that it's not a cookie cutter. There are very standard tours that we also used to offer in the past, that it's not a cookie cutter tour that is too rushed. Okay. Right. So except for the fact that you can see our vehicles here, I just wanted to reiterate the fact that this isn't one of the standard tours that you will find on the market. So if you're looking at the typical cookie cutter tour that everyone is offering, please remember that this is not that. Okay. This tour is planned to kind of give you time to take in Africa and the African bush. Right. So because of that, we also try and have an itinerary that is well thought out. And we also make use of really nice lodges. So let's talk about the itinerary first. We are going to start in Arusha on a coffee estate at the Arusha Coffee Lodge. It's a fantastic property. It's got the most amazing atmosphere, and that's how we kick off our safari. And then from there, we go to Tarangire. Now, Tarangire is famous for its baobabs and elephant. And we're hoping to experience a lot of, or to see a lot of the elephant families and obviously take some beautiful photographs of the baobabs. So that's a lovely soft start to Northern Tanzania circuit safari. And from there, we go to Ndutu. Now, on the map that I showed you earlier when I spoke about carving, I showed you that southern part on the map, and that is the area called Ndutu. It's part of the greater Serengeti ecosystem, and it technically still falls in the Ngorongoro area. But the animals don't know the difference, and there's no fence, so the animal's not going to know my one foot's in the Serengeti and the other one's at Ndutu or the NCCA. It's all part of the greater Serengeti. Okay, so we go to the southern part of Ndutu. It's less developed. It's beautiful. The atmosphere is fantastic. The bird life is wonderful. So it's a completely different environment, and our clients normally absolutely love it. And from there, we go into the central Serengeti. As I said earlier, we're staying central so that we can go in different directions based on the animal movement. Okay. So after that, so now we've done Arusha, we've done Tarangire, we've done one night in Dutu, and we've done 3 nights in the central Serengeti. And after that, we spent 2 nights on the rim of the Ngorongoro crater, and we go down into the crater for a day. Okay. And there's also the opportunity to meet a Maasai community or to visit their Manyata, in other words, their kraal. And that is included. The Manyata visit is included for those who are interested in doing that. Okay. So it's really a good combination of the different northern Tanzania parks. I might just touch on why we don't include Lake Manyara, although I think it's beautiful. Unfortunately, the Rift Valley lakes have become really flooded in the past couple of years. So the piece of Manyara that traditionally is used for game drives has become smaller and smaller and smaller over the years. And so for this reason, we've decided to rather focus on Tarangire than to focus on Manyara. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about our pole pole or our slowly, slowly safari, and just talk about what I believe makes a little bit different. As I've said, I love Tanzania. I don't know how many times I've been there. It's really, really close to my heart, and it's something that I love talking about and love telling people about, and educating people about. So with all of that experience, with my personal experiences there, and all the safaris that I've done there and observed, this is the product of that, of all of that come together. So, firstly, you'll remember that I said that we're going to spend one night in Dutu and then 3 nights in the central Serengeti. So that is 4 nights in the greater Serengeti, instead of just doing 1 or 2 nights and rushing through the Serengeti. So we include the southern bit, the southern part of the Serengeti, greater Serengeti, and then we also do 3 nights in the central Serengeti. Okay. And this is done purposefully. Firstly, because of the migration patterns, and secondly, because we want you to see as much as possible of the Serengeti. It's impossible to see it all in such a short space of time, but we want you to experience the Serengeti and the wilderness and just the African bush. The other important thing is that we are not staying in, let's use the word cookie cutter again. We're not going to be staying in cookie cutter lodges. Okay, so yes, some of these hotels belong to hotel groups, but they're not large, big hotel chains with lodges of that can sleep 500 people, etc. We try and use smaller lodges, even if they are part of a hotel group. And at some of these lodges, we're going to be staying in tented camps, and there are luxury tented camps where you have your own suite, your own ensuite bathroom. So tonight, when we light a fire, you can sit around the fire and actually listen to the bush instead of having 500 people buzzing around you. Right, so I've spoken about Arusha Coffee Lodge earlier when I told you what a wonderful property that is. So at the top left-hand side of the screen is a photo of the reception of Arusha Coffee Lodge. There's Tarangire Sopa, where we'll be staying in Tarangire, Lake Ndutu Tented Camp. Yeah, just incidentally, that tent is the one that I always stay in. And then Kubu Kubu in the central Serengeti, and then a brand new lodge, Ngoro TNS. It belongs to TNS Group, the Ngorongoro Rim Lodge, which has beautiful views. Um, yeah, and it belongs to the same the same group that Lake Ndutu belongs to. Okay. Right, so why all of this and why do I talk about our different lodges, etc.? Well, firstly, because I think the lodge can make a difference to your experience. I think it's so much nicer to be in a smaller place. And then secondly, because at some of these properties, particularly Kubu Kubu, um, that some of the alcohol is included. Now, that might not be important to you if you say, I'm only going to be drinking water. But if you want a glass of wine or something like that, even a basic wine, let's call them student wines, can cost you around 600 Rand in Tanzania. Okay, so now if you add all of that up, that starts, adding to your cost. Okay. And yeah, it might not seem important on the outset, but it is important when you start thinking about why a tour has a certain cost. Park fees are included for all our tours for every 24 hours that we're spending in the bush. And if you're thinking of $70 per person per 24 hours in the bush and you translate that to Rand, then you also see why Tanzania is not, people always say Africa has become expensive, but if you look at the park fees, you'll understand why. Okay, right. As I said earlier, I love Tanzania and I'm really proud of the Pole Pole tour. I think it's a fantastic experience for people who want a little bit more, a little bit extra space or time just to experience the destination in the bush. I think it's different and yeah, not a cookie cutter. Right, so you've seen the photo of the vehicles that we used earlier. You saw that it had a pop-up roof, and I'm not sure whether you could see, but it had slide open windows, and every single seat has a slide open window. And every one of our passengers also has a window seat. Okay, so normally we are 6 people per vehicle. And then the tour leader sits in front and rotates every day. He or she will be traveling with another vehicle. Unless there's a group that is specifically 7 people or that ask if they can squeeze in one more, then that person will sit, then we'll allow for 7 and there will be someone sitting next to the driver. Most often the driver's roof can also lift, so that's not an issue. Okay. Because we have very limited space for luggage, it's also important that you only travel with soft um, duffel bags that are pliable. So you need to be able to chuck another duffel bag on top of it and another one, maybe squeeze here and squeeze there, because we've also got to fit in the water for everyone that we're carrying with us, etc. So only soft duffel bags, no hard Dulcie suitcases, etc. Okay. And then I've now spoken a lot.
Hallo, ek is
Oh, sorry. I've spoken a lot, but I think it's more important to let you hear what other people have to say. Oopsie.
Hallo, ek is Marianne de Tooy. Ons het op die Seagull toere Polly Polly gekom en dit was net 'n ongelooflike toer. Dit was goed georganiseer. Ons het so baie wild gesien. As jy ooit beplan om op 'n enige wildtoer te kom, besluit Polly Polly. Dit is definitief die moeite werd.
Clive Wiggle. Ek praat namens my en my vrou Maritjie Wiggle. Ek wil net baie dankie sê aan Seagull Toere. Hierdie was onbeskryfbaar. Elke sent werk en ek sal dit weer doen en ek sal dit aanraai vir enige persoon wat dit kan bekostig. Dis 'n moed. Hierdie was ongelooflik mooi en die toerleier was ongelooflik goed met die hele toerspan. En dit bring mense bymekaar en jy maak nuwe vriende en die wild was ongelooflik. Baie dankie Seagull Toere.
Moet ek begin?
Ja.
Segeltoere, Linde. Dit is die 8ste dag van 'n baie aangename toer hier in die Serengeti. Ons sal net graag dat jy en jou span drywers of bestuurders erkenning moet kry van ons kant. Ek praat namens 'n groep van 6. Ons het 'n wonderlike bestuurder gehad en 'n wonderlike toerleier. Uit 'n punt van 10, 'n moontlike 10, sal ons graag 10 uit 10 wil gee. Dit was baie professioneel gereël en ons moet erkenning daaraan gee. Ons wens jou met jou alle ander toere baie sterkte toe. Dit was professioneel aangebied en baie dankie daarvoor.
Soos die vorige persone wat verskyn het op hierdie kort videoetjie, kan ek maar net onderskraag alles wat hulle gesê het, wat die reëlings van die toer betref. Dit was wonderlik geweest. Dit was so gereël geweest dat ons die beste effek gekry het wat betref die sien van diere en die ballonvaart wat ingesluit was, is wonderlik geweest. En ek kan maar net baie dankie sê aan Seagull Toere en die reëlings wat hulle vir ons getref het, en ek is absoluut bly ek was op hierdie toer gewees. En ek wens vir hulle en hulle mense vorentoe net die beste, want elkeen van hulle het 'n groot bydrae gelewer om hierdie toer 'n sukses te maak. Baie dankie julle.
Okay, so with a little bit of bragging over, just an overview, quick overview of the itinerary again. We're going to be traveling as a group from Joburg to Kilimanjaro Airport. And then from Kili, we go to Arusha, where we stay at the coffee lodge. Then Tarangire. From Tarangire, we go to Ndutu. Then 3 nights in the central Serengeti, and then 2 nights at Ngorongoro Crater, and then we all come back home again. Right at the beginning, I showed you 3 possible dates for this specific set departure, but I also said that we are more than happy to tailor make or plan a private tour for anyone who's interested in that. Our meals are included on safari. Our guides, I've been working with them for years. I select them based on their language skills, their knowledge, their personality, and they really do become part of the Seagull family. We don't need visas for South African passport holders. I've shown you fantastic accommodation that we use, and our vehicles are all excellent and in excellent condition. What's great is also that we have a backup vehicle should something happen to our vehicle on safari. There's always a backup vehicle traveling in the Serengeti that can come and assist. It's a little backup mechanic garage with an extra vehicle. Okay, and then in terms of cost, we quote in dollars and then we invoice on a specific day. So everyone is invoiced on the same day based on the same rate of exchange. Now, if we use today's rate of exchange, then the land arrangements come out to about 82,000 Rand per person sharing. And we need to add our flights to that. And then a deposit plan. I'm sorry, I see it says the international flights and train. We will not be using any train in Tanzania. And then just to clarify regarding the deposits, it is a total of a 30,000 Rand non-refundable deposit, but you can pay that in stages over 9 to 6 months before departure. Right, so for those of you who don't know, this is a family-owned business, and to us, it really is very personal, and we want all our clients to be happy, and we're happy that most of our clients are really happy as well. So yeah, Seagull was my mom's business, and I bought it from her, and here we are, still going strong after more than 30 years. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and then allow for any questions if anyone has a question to ask. Okay. If you've got a question, you can unmute yourself and ask it. Alternatively, there's a little chat option at the bottom, and then you can just pop a question into the chat. And if you don't want to ask me a question here and you don't want to ask a question on the chat, then you're also welcome to just email us or call us at the office, and we'll gladly assist you. Happy to chat to anyone over the phone as well if we can just agree on a scheduled time for that. And then looking at the date, there are 4 days left for you to book in November if you still want to qualify for our November Decision Makers bonus. That is that if you pay your deposit before the end of November and you decide that you know what you want in life and you're going to go on this trip, then you get 5,000 Rand off your final invoice.
Hi Elizabeth, this is Rihanna speaking. How are you doing?
En jy?
Ook so, dankie. Kan ek maar
Dis
vir jou in
goed.
Afrikaans vra?
Ja, met die grootste liefde.
Awesome. Net van 'n point of interest. Hoekom was jy doen julle net die Tanzanië kant vir die toere of doen jy ook Kenia? En wat is die rede as julle nie Kenia doen nie en meer fokus op Tanzanië?
Okay. So ons doen beide Kenia en Tanzanië. Ons gaan hierdie jaar wel nie 'n Masai Mara toer hê nie. Met ander woorde, waar ons Kenia toe gaan vir immigrasie. Ons gaan in Kenia hierdie jaar gaan ons Amboseli en Tsavo doen. Ons het net besluit om iets anders te doen hierdie jaar vir Kenia. Maar as jy die migrasie deur die rivier wil sien, as dit is waaroor jy weet waar die wildebeeste die rivier spring, het ons 'n ander Tanzanië toer wat in Augustus gaan en dit is met mobile tented camps. So ons kan daai inligting ook vir jou aanstuur. So om jou vraag te beantwoord, ons doen wel Kenia, ons het net hierdie jaar besluit om Amboseli en Tsavo te doen in plaas van die Masai Mara.
Okay, nee, dit is 100% ja, want ek weet net daar is party toer agentskappe wat voorkeur het die een bo die ander een het sy of dit gaan oor kostes of het sy dit gaan oor
Ja,
se rede ook al en ek het net gewonder met julle want dis nou die eerste
ja,
wat ek na iets kyk van julle so dit was net my
ja. Suriana, ja, Kenia is geneig om duurder te wees as Tanzanië. Punt nommer 1, want dit is hulle hoog seisoen. Die Masai Mara is kleiner as die Serengeti, so die congestion is ook miskien soms erger in die Masai Mara, maar hulle doen verskriklik baie om dit te bestuur. En dan die ander ding is baie mense wil graag Ngorongoro krater ook sien. En dan maak dit meer sin om Tanzanië te doen. Ek hou van beide lande. Ek is baie lief. In feite, ek was eerste in Kenia en eerste verlief geraak op Kenia voor ek Tanzanië leer ken het. So die Keniane spot altyd en sê Tanzanië het my by hulle gesteel. Ek dink dit is regtig waar en dit is maar net dat die Serengeti groter is en mense baie graag die krater wil sien.
ja.
En ek is ook mal oor Amboseli en Tsavo en Samburu en al die ander parke in Kenia.
Ja. Okay, nee, dit maak vir my baie sin want ja, ek was
Okay.
ook in Kenia eerste, so net soos jy, baie lief vir Kenia. Ek was nog nie in Tanzanië nie, so ek sal nog graag dit wil doen. Ehm
Ja,
so maar ja, so wat jy sê maak sin. Baie
okay.
dankie.
Great, no problem. Anyone else? Okay. Dan gaan ek julle nou los en ja, almal het ons kontakbesonderhede hoop ek. En ek hoop almal het die reisprogram. So as iemand graag die reisprogram wil hê, as hulle hom nog nie het nie, sit net vir my in die chat julle e-posadres. Wel, nee, moet dit nie in die chat sit nie. Ja, los net vir my 'n boodskap en sê stuur asseblief die reisprogram. Ons het julle e-posadresse. So ja, sit net in die chat stuur asseblief reisprogram en ons stuur dit vir julle en ja, dan sal ons met julle kontak maak as julle so wil en ek hoop regtig dat vandag vir julle van hulp was om te weet waaroor Polly Polly gaan en waaroor ons safari gaan. So ek gaan nou so tot 10 tel en dan gaan ek ja, die Zoom beëindig. Maar as daar enigiemand is wat 'n vraag het, unmute jouself net steek jou hand op. En dan antwoord ek graag. Dankie Rihanna, dit was lekker om met jou te gesels. OK almal, mooi bly. Bye.